What's up, nerds? How's everybody doing today? Well, it's about 6:40 a.m. and I've been game deving for 3.5 hours already. So I think that tells you all you need to know about what my state of mind is right now. I'm already like a pot of coffee into the day too. My cup's being weird. Anyway. So I need to take a little break, and I figured let's do a little catch up on what we're doing. There's a lot of things happening, so if I don't keep up on it, next time I do a video, there's going to be too much of a gap. We're going to be like, I feel like I missed a video or something. So this could be a potpourri type of thing while I recharge my energy for getting back to game dev. First off, you can see bunch of blue squares on my board. Can't drink enough coffee. What that represents is all of the stuff I have to do to get Town Game playable. Town Game is cruising along like pretty much almost. Definitely all of the major systems are working. I'm sort of going through. Right now, what I'm doing is I'm going through the game. You know what? Let's just share the game. Just so I have something to talk about while I'm. No, that's not it. God, you would think I would know how to do this by now, but you'd be wrong. All right. Let's go full screen because that looks weird. Yeah, so Town Game, right? I've been going through doing a basic game loop, right? Trying to, say you start a new game and then just going through the progression of all the things you'll do. And then I'm making notes for what are the things that don't work, what stops me from doing the full game loop, something that maybe doesn't stop me, but just looks weird. Let's initialize the game. And I'm making a list of all those things so that I can get it playable as quickly as possible and then send builds out to people and just say, hey, play this. Is anything broken, first of all? But second of all, like, does it make sense? Can you play it without me giving you a massive tutorial? Do I need to change anything in the game loop to make it more interesting? Stuff like that. So that's really why I'm grinding as fast as possible towards playable, right? And what's going to come after that then is demo. And then the demo is going to go on Steam, and then everybody's going to be super interested. I'm going to have like 100,000 wish lists. And then when I launch this fall, like, I'm going to be a millionaire. That's the plan. So anyway, that's the list of stuff that has to be done before it's playable. Probably not that long. Like I said, all the major systems are already working. These are all minor things like I got to finish making the characters, right? I got to make weapons. I got to make all the pets. I have to have the timer for market inventory refresh implemented, right? Just little things. So we're cruising. It's awesome. Outside of that, I'm trying not to get tunnel vision on this because, as a lot of you guys have seen in the past, tunnel vision on one thing is what will eventually drive me to burnout. And we don't want to do that, because if we burn out, I just go bankrupt and have to jump off a bridge or something. So I'm trying to work on other things. Like when I just can't do hardcore game dev anymore, I try to work on something else to just sort of refresh my mind. And let's take a look at what I'm working on. Because like I say, right, there's a lot of things to get caught up on, and it's going to be interesting for me later to look and see what was I working and how did it work out, right? Those are fun. I say it all the time, but you would really be surprised at how often I watch my own videos just to remind myself like what was going on back then. So you remember the whiteboard? No, the wall effort I did when planning Town Game, right? I had this entire wall of Post-its. And frankly, I was a little like, I'm doing this. I don't know if it's really going to help me all that much. No, it has helped immeasurably. It was an absolute, it was great. It was just great, not only for planning and creating my electronic board, but that activity of especially going backwards through the project and looking at each Post-it and saying, what would I need to do this? And realizing that there are areas in between Post-its that I haven't thought through enough, and that there's probably something pretty significant there or a pretty significant question I need to be answered. So like that was such a great activity that I'm doing it again for all of the games that I have planned. And we'll get to the development plan in a minute. But this is the next game. It doesn't matter. You don't have to look at the Post-its. Just know that like we're doing the wall thing again. So the next game most likely is in fact, we'll just bring that up while I talk about it. There. Now we'll put me at the bottom this time. All right. So if we look at the schedule, Town Game right here is going now. If you see a little lock next to my plan, that means that that game is for sure locked into that slot. I've done all the math. I've overanalyzed it too many times. I've obsessively thought about it, and I've decided, nope, everything points to this game needs to be locked in this position. So as I commit to a development schedule, you'll see locks pop in on things. So the next game is this Hitman, the John Wick game. That's most likely going to be the next game. I've already actively planning it. And that's what this is. This is me starting to plan out the John Wick game just to make sure I've thought through everything, and that the idea is once I get done this plan, I'll know if I have all of the knowledge, and if I have a good idea of how everything's going to work to the point where I could start that game and not be missing anything huge. It's going to take me a long time, right? Once I get this wall thing done, I should know if it's going to fit here. That's really what I'm looking at is, does this game fit here? Can I get it done fast enough with what I have and know right now that it fits in the next slot? And if it does, we'll get a little lock there, and that'll be what it is. After I'm done the John Wick game, I'm going to start looking at the next two games in no particular order, because it's really no hurry to do those. Like I'm about 95% sure the next game is going to be the John Wick game. I'm 100% sure the next game will not be the Merc League game, and I've already locked in a football game for 2028. So like I'm 100% sure it's not going to be a football game. So these two guys can take a little bit of extra time. But I'm going to do the same wall exercise for both of these, as well as, where did it go? The Kindred Pieces, which is really the map game. The map game is really far. It's probably a good 70% done. Let's say 60%. 70 felt a little aggressive, like anybody cares, but still. I really want to get this in as soon as possible, but there's some major things I have to think through, and I don't have the answers to those yet. So I can't even really realistically plan that one, the rest of that game. So after I'm done these, at least one or both of these guys, I'm hoping I can get like Riley to play through the map game a little bit and just tell me what I'm missing, because I'm up against a wall on that one. And then once I have that answer, I'll probably do the wall exercise for that. And then what we'll have is we'll have a pretty good, like 90% plan for the next 2 to 3 games or 3 to 4 games. And then I can figure out where they go. So just kind of looking at long term, how's this going to work? I've started to, I would say, build out this plan a little more detail. Each time we go through this, it'll be in a little more detail. I've been talking a lot with Ryan from 26K, and we've been talking a lot about Next Fest. He's in Next Fest right now with his new volleyball game. And between him and the data that I see from the How to Market a Game Discord, it doesn't seem like Next Fest is really that great or that important or that even that helpful for indies. Unless you're like one of the top 10, it doesn't actually do much of anything for you. So I'm going to keep these on here as just a reference that, hey, this Steam event is happening, but the Next Fest really isn't going to be my target. The top line is the target release month, basically. That's the actual target. Whether it's full release or early access, I don't know. I still haven't figured out that strategy yet, but something will be released on Steam roughly that month, and we'll refine it as we get closer. But I think I'm going to just keep this stuff here and maybe add more things in there as the Steam events start happening, so that I just have a good map of, hey, what's happening on Steam? When should I be putting a demo out there? What game should I be entering into what festival? Stuff like that. This little red thing here, I don't know that it changes anything, but just a reminder, GTA probably launches in November. And I'm already seeing like reports and stories about how AAA developers are sort of panicking about the GTA release, because everybody is assuming that the GTA game is going to suck up all of the oxygen in the entire gaming industry for, however much time it does. So like at least the AAA developers are all moving their releases around because they don't want to compete with GTA, but then now that they're all sort of moving their releases, now they're sort of log jamming other months. So let's say I think GTA releases in November. So then you got or no, it releases in September. I think it's September. So then anyway, that means like the month after that, a lot of the major AAA games are all releasing that month. And if they're not releasing that month, they're releasing the month after that. So like at least the next 2 months are going to be just jammed with all the AAA games that don't want to compete with GTA. So now they're competing with each other. And then, of course, there's December, January, and February, in which almost nobody buys games anyways. But some of these big AAA games are going to be pushed out into those months. So then it's like, all right, well, as an indie, where do you want to compete? Right? Or I wouldn't even say compete, because no indie's competing with these guys. But where do you want to release and hope that people know your game is there? Right? If everybody's talking GTA and that's all anybody's doing, like, is anybody going to know that my game released? I don't know. So I don't know what it means. I just know it's a thing. So it's something to pay attention to. Does that mean I hold the town game and release at a different time? I don't know. I don't know what it means. So I do know that it doesn't stop my development. That's not going to stop. But when games actually release, who knows what that means? We still got a decent amount of time before we have to figure that out, but it's going to be something we got to figure out. The other interesting thing here on the plan is I have decided we're definitely going to reintroduce football games into the plan. I still don't really believe in the market for football games. And I'm not just going to do them just to do them and be stupid. But I would say if there are other games that have potential for like bringing in a little bit of money. So let's say I have, out of the 4 potential releases I have before I release a football game, let's say each one makes just a tiny amount of money, right? Maybe combined $20,000, right? Which is that is a tiny amount of money. That's not that much for 4 combined games. Well, at that point, then like a football game doesn't have to be a hit. And football games suck because the upside is very low for football games. Like if you there's a couple games that have made a decent amount of money, but the vast majority fail. And I've talked about that to death, right? So don't point the one game that made money and say that, see, football games are great. It's like, yeah, but you conveniently didn't show me the 50 other ones that failed. But that being said, the good thing, so that's the bad part. The good part of sports games and football games is that they never really die. If you have a decent game that can sell like a little bit, let's say your game it's okay. It can, let's say it brings in $5,000, right? Which again is a huge flop, but let's just say it does. The thing about a football game is you don't necessarily have to keep coming up with sequels and updating it, right? Every year around football time, people are going to be going and looking at your game and potentially buying it. So the long tail, the sports games can have a much longer tail than some of these other non-sports games. So, that's the good side of making it. If it is fairly successful, then you just have to take what was good about that and turn it into other types of games. Like the perfect example is if you make a pro NFL style football game and it is successful, well, then you can just turn that into a college style football game, right? Or you can turn it into, a robots football game. I don't know. But then they don't have to cannibalize each other, so you can have a game with a 5-year tail, but then like stack another one on top of it with a 5-year tail and stack another one on top of it with a 5-year tail. Or you can do the strategy of updating it every year too. So even though I don't believe in sports games as a high upside project, I do believe in them in a longevity project. So that's why they're in the plan. That's why I'm putting them in the plan. I have also decided that this April release date is going to be my sports release date, or at least my football release date, because I talked about it before. Hitting the NFL draft would be the biggest thing I can do to give myself an opportunity at success. Right. So if I release something football related every NFL draft, that's going to be my best chance. So I'm sort of tagging the April timeframe as my football, just from 28 on is going to be my football window. I thought about here, but that's just too soon. I don't know that I could have. I could have a football game ready for April. But I haven't really thought it through yet, and I don't really know what that game would look like yet and why it would be different than any of the ones I've done before. So I would say, if I'm 95% sure the next game is John Wick, 5% that it's a football game for this draft. I would say that's the only thing I have right now kind of churning around this spring release date. That being said, right, within the next week, I'm going to have my wall exercise done for this next football game and the wall exercise done for the Hitman game. So going through that activity could change everything. I could find something in the John Wick game that I'm like, ugh, I need too much art. I've realized I need way too much art to do that game right now, and I don't have the money for it. Well, I have all of the art for a football game. Stuff like that. That's the kind of stuff I got to think through. Up on top, I haven't really added any new projects yet. We're still kind of waiting to see where these land in the schedule. There are games that I really like, and I know I've pushed up in priority, and I know I really want to do these as fast as possible. I just don't know where they fit yet. If one or more of these starts to look really good, I may do a wall exercise for it just to see what it looks like. And then my parking lot over here is still just sort of, hey, these are cool ideas. I don't know what I'm going to do with them yet, though. So anyway, so that's where we're at. That is where we're at. That's enough of that. Let's get out of there. So what else? What else? I think that's it. So today's a big day. I'm going to try to knock out as much on that list as possible. I got started super early today. I woke up just thinking about game dev at like 3 a.m. And I was like, yeah, I'm not going back to sleep. There's no way I'm going to be able to get back to sleep. And it dawned on me, like, I don't have a schedule. I don't need to sleep in until 5. Like, I can get up right now and work, and I'm not bothering anybody. And then if I get tired at 2 o'clock, I can take a nap. Nobody's going to tell me no. It dawned on me, like, oh my God, I can do whatever I want. I don't have to follow any schedule whatsoever. I just work when I want to work. That's pretty cool. That feels pretty good. So hopefully that kind of thing allows me to get this stuff done. Because, like, I don't know if you saw it. There was a big red line where I ran out of money. Like, that's what's staring me in the face. So, like, it's go time. There might be a lot more of these 3 a.m. days. All right, that's enough right now. I got to get back to work. My coffee's starting to run out. We got to take care of business. So, see you guys later.